All right, this is an unscheduled impromptu video. Unscheduled, unscripted. Um, I've been in my apartment for the past like 4 or 5 days doing basically nothing because I have tonsillitis. So haven't been able to do what I normally do in the day. And I haven't been able to study. I haven't been able to work. I haven't been able to do anything. And I just found out right now that I got the results of the JPTN3. And you want to guess whether I passed or failed? Well, okay, you probably already know based off what you saw on my YouTube community tab that I failed the JPTN3, the exam that I studied for 5 months for. I failed the exam. Want to guess how? Listening, because I failed the listening exam portion. So yeah, I passed the other sections, and I'm so frustrated. I'm so frustrated, and I'm making this video basically as a call for help from my subscribers, from my supporters. How do I improve at listening and speaking Japanese? How? The learning curve for listening Japanese is so intense for me. Like, I've been studying Japanese for years. My kanji's gotten so much better. I know, like, I can read most everything. Most everything. You want proof? You want proof? Okay, right? Here, look at this. Shokutakuen. This means table salt. You know? This means food. That means table. That means salt. Shokutakuen, right? Maybe I didn't get the yomikata completely perfect, but I know what it means and I know roughly how to pronounce it. I can read Japanese newspapers, news broadcasts, manga, novels, right? And understand what they mean, right? I don't read manga in English. I read all my manga in Japanese because I don't need to read it in English, and I prefer to read it in Japanese. I understand the characters in the story better, actually. But when it comes to listening, right? You know, I can't understand anything. I can barely understand. I can barely understand listening. Barely. It's been years. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing? I live in Tokyo. Every single day of my life. I hear people speak Japanese to me, and I speak Japanese to people. Why am I not improving? Why? I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. How am I supposed to practice listening and speaking? Genuinely, how? I tried using AI. I tried using ChatGPT. It was horrible. You know what the ChatGPT language is like in English? Where they talk in such a strange way. They sound like an HR person. Yeah, I'm like all for keeping it loose and fun. So just let me know, okay? That's how it sounds in Japanese too. Imagine trying to practice Japanese with that thing speaking to you, right? And I try to ask it questions. I'm like, oh, review me. Do this, do that. And all it does, it's like, I tried using AI. I tried that. I tried listening to Japanese. I tried watching anime without subtitles, right? Or I tried watching anime with Japanese subtitles, right? That kind of helps. But then I'm not really, I guess I don't know if I'm learning the speaking. I'm just sort of speed reading. I play Japanese mobile games on my phone and I read the Japanese. I don't even need to listen. I just read it. You know? It's like I know thousands of words. I can read, like, I can understand thousands of words, but I can't repeat them. I can't. I can read a paragraph talking about the political and economic state of like Saudi Arabia or India or Canada or China or the US, right? and I can understand what's trying to say. But if you wanted me to speak about that, or if someone spoke to me about that, I couldn't understand it. Point is I don't know what to do. Genuinely, I'm 24 years old. I've been studying Japanese since I was 19, right? 4.5 years, basically. And throughout this whole time, I've just never been able to figure out speaking and listening. The only time when I can speak and listen decently is when I'm drunk. When I have some of that. That's alcohol up there. I have some tequila and some sake and some gin. But yeah, I don't want to go out and get drunk 4 or 5 times a week and spend all my money at bars just so that way I can practice my Japanese. You know? And it's like, and I ask my friends, I'm like, how do you get better at speaking Japanese? And they're like, oh, you just repeat stuff. You know, you get what you read and you repeat that to people. And it's like, okay, but I forget. Like when I'm in the presence, I have recognition knowledge. My recognition knowledge is phenomenal, but when I'm in the presence of a Japanese person and I'm trying to have a conversation and they ask me stuff, right? They ask me a sentence that's longer than like 2 clauses, my brain just, it stops, you know? Right? Like, listen, I've been able to like do things here in Japan with my limited amount of Japanese. I managed to get a bank account, right? I've been to job interviews. I've done a lot of procedural stuff with my broken spoken Japanese and listening skills, and I've managed to like figure out how to do that. But that's roughly easier because it's a whole lot of set phrases, and there's usually like paper applications that I have to fill out, and I can read the kanji and know what they're saying and what people mean. But I genuinely, what do I do? What do I do? Maybe this is just my craziness because I've been stuck inside all of this week on my bed watching Family Guy clips and brain rotting on Instagram for the past 5 or 6 days. Maybe that's why I'm so upset right now. Maybe that's why I've hit this crossroads and I'm just like, I need to get my frustrations out. But how? Genuinely how? And I swear, even... how? How? And the thing is, when you're in Tokyo, right? You know, you try to speak Japanese to people and they'll switch to English. And it's like, don't do that. I'm trying to practice, please. And I get it. You know, people do that because they're trying to be helpful, right? And that's why it's sort of an irrational thing for me to be upset by, because I know people are doing it specifically to be helpful, right? But it's like, God, it's like I don't even study kanji anymore, or I barely study kanji. I don't need to study kanji. I see a character once, and then I look up its meaning, and I'm like, okay, and then I see it every day. That's easy, right? Versus spoken Japanese and written Japanese, it's like I sound like a toddler. You know? It's like I'm embarrassed to speak to people. Yeah, I'm embarrassed. I'm self-conscious. I feel ashamed when I try to speak to people. You know? It's like I don't know what to do. So I'm asking you guys for help, genuinely. Like, you know, I have Japanese friends, close Japanese friends, and I always have people say to me, oh, why don't you speak Japanese with them? I don't speak Japanese with them because since I'm so bad and since my skills are so poor, when I do speak to them, it feels super impersonal and weird. I don't feel like I'm talking to my friend. I feel like I'm like talking to like my teacher, right? And when I'm with my friends, I don't want to be struggling and constantly thinking about how terrible I am at spoken Japanese. I want to have fun and relax. You know? It's like, and all my closest Japanese friends, they all speak English too. So, and it's like, ugh, is there some sort of learning curve that I haven't passed yet? Like, will I eventually break through a point where I like get over this massive hump and then it's all easier from there, like what happened with kanji? Kanji was very tough for me until I learned, oh wait, you can learn these characters through recognition knowledge, and painstakingly physically writing the characters one by one is an inefficient way of learning them. Is there something like that for listening that it's just not clocking to me? I'm not getting it. Is there something like that there? I mean, part of me feels bad even ranting about this. I'm not trying to criticize the Japanese language by any means, right? It's not what I'm doing. I'm frustrated with myself. This is probably the rawest I've ever been with my audience, and probably the rawest I'll be for a while. Right? I mean, I don't really like complaining about learning Japanese because I don't want to come off as insensitive. Because, I see all these videos online, people talking about like how certain languages, like, oh, Tibetan is a really difficult language because their writing and their the way the words are written and the way they're pronounced are different. So it's a really hard language. Okay, you want to know what other languages like that? English. I want help, like genuinely, seriously. So, if you guys can comment anything, I would genuinely, I'd be very grateful. So, and I'm gonna get out of my apartment because even though I'm still sick, I don't think it's gonna be healthy for me to rot in my bed anymore. I need to get some fresh air. I need to do my laundry. So, but I'll see you all next video. Goodbye.